So you did that. So just setting up a timeline after that, when exactly did you release Gambling on a White Boy Volume 1? Was that the first thing you ever put out?
Well, so after the freestyle battles, I had went back to jail. Because remember, I was on bond.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I had to settle the case out, and I had to cop a plea, and I ended up having to do some more time. When I was locked up, I come home, and I had met Jazz through the Outer Limits before I got locked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jazz Howard from Cross Tracks Entertainment had always told me, like, well, when you come home, I got you. You know, and I remember I'd been to his studio a couple times before I got locked up. Juan had took me, Juwan, God rest his soul too. And I came straight home and just pulled up over there, dude. I'll never forget, Jazz had this studio in Joe Johnson, right in the middle of the projects, right across the street from the projects, but right in the middle of the neighborhood, right next to the Blue Corner store. And I'll never forget, I just pulled up over there. And I just showed up like I knew Jazz my whole life. You know what I'm saying? I'd been gone for like a year and a half. And I just popped up to his spot. I was like, yo, what's up, man? Remember me? I'm home. He's like, oh, what's up, man? Come on in. And just like immediately took me under his wing. And that's when we started working on Gambling on a White Boy Volume 1. While I was working on that project, I had met Struggle.
This was 03, 04?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is, yeah. Yeah, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, that makes a little sense. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because
Halfway House in 04, I think.
Yeah, because his son just turned 19 or 20, so I guess his son maybe it was like maybe it was 02 then.
Yeah.
So because I remember I babysat Brianna and his oldest son, Lil Will. So I remember Lil Will was still in a diaper. That's the best way to remember that. I have a funny story I'll tell you one day when he struggles with me. He tells better of me changing his diaper. First diaper ever changed, disaster. But but yeah, so I met Struggle around that time. I already knew who Struggle was though, because when I was in jail, he had just left. So when I'm in there, they're like, "Yo, man, this white boy used to rap too. His name was such and such, you know, from whatever." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I came home, we had linked up through community corrections, kind of, and just ended up just kind of immediately ended up connecting with each other. So yeah, that's how that worked out. So then I started working on Gambling on White Boy Volume 1. I'm trying to remember that. I haven't talked about this shit in so long.
Yeah,
I started working on Gambling on White Boy 1. I met Struggle. I had met Sunny Paradise through Haystack and Bobby and them at the time, way before that. So I was kind of studio horn. My story back then was I was showing up to any studio I was welcome at. You know, and I tell kids this to this day. These dudes are just not like don't come to me like. I get offended at kids now. They're like, I've been putting a lot of time into this. Like, when? How much time have you really put into this? Like, dog, I woke up. You remember this, Bobby?
Yeah.
Chatty. I woke up and fucking went all day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, from the, dude, you could call me every 4 hours and I would be somewhere else where I thought there was something rapping happening.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, so I would like go to Jazz's studio some few days a week. I'd go to Sunny's studio a few days a week. I just anywhere they wouldn't kick me out. And I was so blessed back then that everybody opened their doors to me. Mm-hmm. You know, I'd come see Reese with Felonious Records. So like wherever he had his studio set up that night, I'd go. Like I was just like everywhere I could go, you know?
Yeah.
And Sonny had came to me and said, "Hey man, what are you working on?" And I'd had a guy from my neighborhood that was trying to help me put out an album as well. His name, God rest his soul, was Chris Fentress, Biggie. And Sonny and them had came to me and said, you know, listen, we can put out this solo record on you. You can still do your mixtapes with Jazz. And I was like, well, I want to do this group album with Struggle. And he had found a guy from the Dope City Records at the time that had came in and put some money up to invest in me and Struggle doing the Halfway House. So what's funny is Gambling on a White Boy came out, then the Halfway House came out, then the original Hate Goes On album came out. This is all between 03 and 06.
Yep, because I met you in 05, so that makes sense,
Yep.
So that all happened around that time frame, because we met you, you were outside of Cadence's birthday party or album release party, and I met you and Zach Crowell the same night.
Yep, true story.
Yep.
Yeah,
you know, outside,
yep, I was outside of there. And then y'all had done, or y'all did some sort of a show at 3rd and Lindsley.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
And I popped up on y'all.
Yep.
Yeah, I popped up on your crew.
Yep.
And you were like, come out to Greenbrier and let's do this.
And you were making trips regularly. Exactly what he was saying about finding wherever music was at. He was not anywhere close to where I live at. And he was finding a way out there.
Yep.
And we were cutting records. That's where a lot of those songs that you see now, the old stuff, that's where all that was cut back
True
then.
story, yeah.
And that's when you put out, because I remember you put out Volume 2 then, and like you were saying,
Yep.
and then 07, 08 hit, and I think that's when, is that when you got?
I had to go back.
You went back.
I made another kerfuffle with the law. And me and the Metro Police Department had a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And I had to go back to jail, and that was in 2007. And I had met Worm before that and knew who Worm was, and we had connected. But we ended up bunkmates.
Yeah.
And that's how the story of Worm is told.
Yeah, because and that makes sense, because I remember getting a call. I was at my grandparents' house, and I got a call, and it was from jail, and I was like, "Who's in jail?" And it was you. It was right after you had gotten locked up, whenever that was, whatever time frame that was. So
yeah.
And then we were just doing it was when MySpace was popping, man.
Yeah.
We were doing the MySpace stuff, and then you got out at the end of 08, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when you came, and we started doing the
08, 2009, yep.
Yeah. And that's when the whole house arrest stuff started.
So I was gone from early 07 to late 08 or something like that, or mid 07, early 07 to 08, late 08.
Yeah, and that's when we started cutting. That's when we started cutting, doing the house arrest stuff, and you started cutting Volume 3.
Yep.
And then from there, do you want to talk about, like, you said you and Worm were bunkmates? Is that, you said you knew him before?
Well, I had met Worm outside of a bar on 2nd Avenue that Alexander King was doing some sort of an open mic thing at. He was running this thing at BB King's or something. It might have been at Dream, but it was one of them clubs right there on 2nd Avenue. And I had fell in, you know. Mm-hmm. I'd also was really plugged in the clubs because the guy who first really tried to help manage me when I was doing the Outer Limits was Eric McAnally's partner at the Outer Limits. His name was JoJo. Mm-hmm. JoJo Herbert, and JoJo would always take me to the clubs and stuff. So I was like constantly in the clubs. I was constantly fucking with people in the clubs. So I was out there. Alexander King had met him. You know, when I met him as a juvenile, he let me into Mr. V's, the after hour spot. Mm-hmm. So I was like 15 years old in the after hours with Alexander King, just getting loaded. But we would, I showed up to one of his events, and I think I freestyled and won some money or something, and I was leaving. I was passing out mixtapes. Struggle was passing out mixtapes, and Worm had just got out of jail again. So we had all connected right there in front of BB King's one night, right? And then that's the night that I told Struggle, hey, man, meet me at Jazz's spot the next day. And he came to Jazz's studio, Struggle did, and played me a song called I Ain't Biting with him and White Boy Slim. Oh, yeah. And I remember thinking, this is a hit. I was like, I need on this. The song is incredible. Yep. And we did it. And that was the beginning of that story really manifesting out.
That's crazy. And then, and you brought, fast forward to 09, obviously it's on the Chat Arms TV, that's when you brought Worm over to the studio. Yep. And that's when all that started and stuff. So
yeah, exactly. When we started doing the Day in the Life of Worm and Jellies, they were so fucking funny. Remember we both lived in that place that Men of Valor had, that apartment that they were letting us use.
Off Hard? Was it Hard?
Yeah, it was like a halfway house, but it wasn't. They had apartments that they let people live in right off Hard, me and Worm.
Yep.
We were roomies.
Yeah, man.
Bunkmates again. We was bunkmates again, man. Fucking old Jelly and Worm show. Yep. Back broke. fucking bunking it up.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man.